Hi, I'm Steve McCord, Cattaraugus County Director of Veteran Services, and this is Our Veterans, Their Stories, preserving our heroes' stories, one story at a time.
The reason I joined the service was when I was a senior in high school, which is 55 years ago, but people were more patriotic than they are now. Of course, you know, World War II and Korea weren't that far behind us. And most of us had brothers or fathers or whatever in World War II or Korea. And I think not just me, but our group in particular, we wanted to help. We kind of we felt that it was our duty to join the armed services, no matter what branch, just to help the effort. I did my basic training at Fort Lewis, Washington, and I went to, from there I went to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey for signal school. And I was all tickled to death. They had orders for Heidelberg, Germany. Nice. I thought, yeah, man, here we go. So probably 2 or 3 days later, they reposted and everybody said RVN, Republic of Vietnam, so.
And that was in 66, 67?
67.
67,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Vietnam was already ongoing. What type of reports were you hearing before you went over to Vietnam? What did you know about it?
Not hardly anything. We just knew that, that's where the conflict was, and that's about it. I mean, 17, 18-year-old kids, they don't read the paper, I mean, they're listening to the news hardly or anything else. So we just kind of thought, well, there's a bunch of us signed up, 5 or 6 of us. And we basically, all of us got our training we requested, so. And back to Fort Lewis I went. A little more AIT. Different weapons and stuff. And I had to qualify with a 45 and other things I can't remember for sure, but then off we went. We flew from I think it was Seattle to Fairbanks, Alaska, from Alaska to Japan, and from Japan to Vietnam. And I landed at a place called Vung Tau. I got to the 90th Replacement Battalion, and unfortunately for my MOS, if you wasn't an E6, you didn't work in your field. I mean, they're not gonna let a E4 have a nice job when they're an E6 or 7, so. I got transferred to Quin Nhân. They didn't know what to do with me, so they sent me to a little compound about halfway between Quin Nhân and An Khê, and basically taught me a new MOS. Made a pole jockey out of me, hanging wire and, running signal equipment, stuff like that. I was fortunate that I wasn't a combat troop. I mean, probably sometimes I feel like I would have been more effective if I would have been, but I think probably a lot of people have those feelings. There was a lot of wannabes around, you know, but then I went on my R&R after I was there for about 9 months, I guess. I went to Singapore. I ain't got to tell you about that, but when I got back, they reassigned me to a post, probably 20 miles north of Saigon. Great big post named Long Binh. It was pretty close to Binh Air Base. And they didn't know what they was going to do with me there either, so they made me what they called a courier. So I had to get a top secret clearance and stuff, and I actually couried stuff out to the other headquarters. Long Binh was MACV, that was where the brains were, you know. And I'd take stuff out. I got to see a lot of the country, you know. I mean, never got shot down or nothing. Got shot at a few times, but luckily for me, they didn't hit me, so. It didn't matter where you were over there. It was one of these deals looking behind your back, because you didn't know. I mean, there was, down by the Binh Air Base, there was one little kid dropped a hand grenade in the gas tank of the Jeep as it was going by. I'll never forget this kid and I named Dennis Hardman. We got down on the Benoit, and we were walking down just a street, road or whatever. These little kids come up, you know. They was fumbling around with us, you know. Hey, GI, hey, GI. Old Dennis Hardman, he went to look and see what time it was. His watch was gone. One of them little devils stole it. Oh, he was pissed. We had our weapons with us, and he was ready to start shooting them. Nah, don't worry, Dennis, just buy another one, because you got them cheap over there anyway. But oh yeah, we had good times too. It wasn't all cutthroat, you know. It was different. There's a lot of people don't realize, you know, for every infantryman, there's probably 200 support troops. A lot of people don't know that. But without the support troops, the infantry's no good. You know what I mean? Started in the middle of the night, you know, and all of a sudden, oh, boom, they blew our ammo dump up. Now, it was a big ammo dump. I mean, us guys were in our buildings, we called them hooches. The concussion almost knocked you out of bed, you know. Jesus, you knew something was going on, so they called formation, you know, and gave us our weapons and stuff, and basically we pulled guard duty until it was over with. I mean, there wasn't a lot of action because the infantry was all around the post, you know, but yeah, that Tet was definitely different.
You just caught my attention. You said they put you in formation and gave you your weapons. You were in a combat zone without your weapon at all times?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just, I mean, I had my 45 all the time, but that's not going to do you much good. So, then one night I was walking back from the motor pool, and there was a group of black guys standing there, and I just, you know, was walking by. I said, "How you doing, brothers?" Well, the first thing I knew, one of them socked me in the back of the freaking head, put me right out. But then they proceeded to beat on me, you know. I mean, Both my eyes were black. I had 3 broken ribs, a concussion in the back of my head. So that was my getting hurt experience in Vietnam. I was out for about 2 days.
Was that common over there, the whites and the blacks at each other like that?
Yeah, yeah. Especially, you know, I don't think it was that bad out in the field, but if you get back onto the post and stuff, people got drinking and raising hell. Yeah, that it was, you know. Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of friction there. So then after that, it was November '68. I boarded the Bird and came to San Francisco. As far as protests and stuff, I didn't see any. I mean, I don't know if maybe it wasn't as bad as the media made it out. I don't know, but nobody gave me a hard time. Then I flew from there to my brother's house in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Then my parents picked me up there. We stayed there for 3 or 4 days. Then back to Limestone, but us kids that went in from Limestone, when we came home, we didn't feel any animosity at all. I mean, we were heroes. You know, small town USA. You know, I mean, we didn't have to put up with any of that bullshit. I mean, some of them say they did, but I don't know if I believe them or not. So, you know what I mean, John? I mean, there's a lot of wannabes, but I'm not one of them. All I did, guys, is did my job, did what I was told to do, and that was it.
Any regrets in doing it?
No, I don't.
None whatsoever?
No, I don't, because it made a man out of me instead of just a young kid, you know. See, I got out in September 9th. I went to work for this old guy in town, Chet Keller was his name, just doing landscaping and stuff. And being in the Signal Corps, I knew quite a bit about communication, so I went over to Bell Telephone, it was then. Filled out an app, you know, and I don't know, you remember Bud Walker? He said, Gene, he said, I'll get you a job. I said, oh yeah, and he said, yeah. He said, just come up to the refinery about 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So I did. And I went in and the foreman interviewed me. His name was Joe Traylor, I'll never forget. Just a little guy. He says, can you use an effing hammer? I said, yeah. I said, I've helped my dad build a lot of stuff. Okay, he says, go down and take your test. So down I went, passed the test, and I met with the maintenance supervisor, and they hired me. So I didn't know which job to take. They both paid similar wages. I think it was like $2.35 an hour. But for Bell Telephone, you had to start out as a janitor. And I didn't want to be a freaking janitor, you know. I mean, looking back, yeah, I wish I'd had a broom in my hand. But the refinery treated me well. I started in the carpenter shop, then I went to processing, then I went to research and development, then I went to quality control, then I was, made a supervisor at Fosterbrook. That's my last 10 or 12 years. I had 46 years in there when I retired. Well, being the commander, you know, I don't know if it's the same way with every post or not, but I accept a lot of responsibility. I keep the lawn mowed, I take care of all the ticket money and ordering tickets and stuff and filing the quarterly reports. Then when we moved over here, I said, you know, we ought to have a pasta night on Mondays. So guess who got stuck making the sauce and the meatballs? Me, but I don't mind. It gives me something to do. I like to do that because I didn't really help with the construction of this place at all. And I bartend once in a while. I don't charge them. I just do it, you know, just to do my share, so. But the PTSD, which I take meds for, mostly I think on account of that beating I took. I don't like to be around crowds or nothing like that anymore, because you know, that's when you get beat almost to death, it changes you, I'll tell you, buddy. So, I don't know, I forgot what I was telling you. It's another problem I'm getting.
Meds for PTSD.
Oh, yeah. So, as long as I take those, I do well. Of course, I've had other Agent Orange issues. My bladder's all screwed up. Got to wear a diaper. Got ischemic heart disease. What the hell else is it? Oh, all the memory problems I'm starting to have, but you know.
Well, that could be the PTSD or other issues on its own as well.
Yeah, it's. But I attribute most of my problems to Vietnam, because nobody in my family ever had a heart attack. Nobody had bladder problems. Nobody's ever had anything like that but me. So I do get compensated for it. So not as much as I'd like to, but because I don't know, it just. I took that beating when I was out like that. It did something to me. I was really a good student in high school. I mean, geometry and the biology regents, I got 100% on both of them. Now, you guys know what regents are. That ain't easy to do.
No.
So, but I lost that edge, you know what I mean? I mean, I still can think well and everything, but I'm not as sharp as I was. And I wasn't even right after that. I just never, you know. But I still managed to make it through the ranks to be a supervisor at the refinery, so I'm satisfied, you know.